Hello and welcome to SBK's Day 4 Royal Ascot preview. Tom Collins here as well as Ross Millar to talk you through all of the action on Friday. Ross, we're filming this pre-racing on Thursday. We've almost caught up. By the time you're watching this, racing is probably done on Thursday afternoon. So far, after the first 2 days, who's been your standout performance? Obviously, Field of Gold, Ombudsman, Gustard, they probably make the shortlist.
They make sure Hartem, no, for purely for financial reasons. I was sweet on him. Field of Gold. I've got to get with this horse now, and I've tried in vain to sort of find ways to take him on. He copes with quick ground. He quickened up really smartly. And much as it pains me to say it, I think you do have to perhaps concede that maybe in trying to say that the ride wasn't the deciding factor in the 2000 Guineas at Newmarket, it appears that it probably was, because he's quickened up so well for both of his last wins. You would just think that that wasn't really Kieran Schumach's finest hour, unfortunately. So yeah, by some way, Gustad, I just wonder whether Ryan Moore was the only jockey to realise that the quickest way from A to B is a straight line. Everyone else was trying to find the fastest strip of ground, and he just went down the middle. I've reserved judgment on that line of form, I think. So yeah, Field of Gold.
Yeah, I think I'll be in the same boat. I think it's going to be pretty tough to beat Field of Gold's performance earlier this week in the remaining races. But yeah, he sets the standard. There have been some other good performances, obviously French Master being one, and lots of good performances in the saddle as well. Hopefully plenty of talented equine horses we're going to see on the track on Friday and Saturday as well. I'm sure we're going to see a couple of other sparkling displays, and hopefully in this preview podcast we can talk you through some horses that are likely to do that on Friday. Before we do that, SBK's offers, there have been plenty this week, as you will have known if you've seen the other preview pods. We'll start off by saying that SBK is offering that 20% horse racing multiples boost every single day. Minimum 4 legs to qualify for that. T's and C's do apply. There's also a 20% winnings boost on Friday on the Commonwealth Cup at 305, a race where there is quite a short price favourite who is well fancied across the board by a lot of pundits and also on social media. Again, we'll talk about that in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. But if you want to take advantage of that offer, go and check out the SBK app. You can see all the promotions on there anyway, but you can get a bigger return if you fancy something in that Commonwealth Cup or like to do multiples. Okay, let's look at Friday then. We're going to kickstart with another tricky 2-rod race. It's the Albany for the fillies, again at 2:30, the start time for Royal Ascot every day this week. Your favourite is Signora for Aidan O'Brien. His juveniles, Ross, have been brilliant this week. He's already won the Coventry and the Queen Mary. He might have already won the Norfolk by the time people are watching this video. Is Signora the horse to beat? She seems pretty short considering she's not won a race. She's 11-4 at this stage.
Yeah, I actually wrote in Juvenile Watch yesterday and filed before racing yesterday that, he clearly has a bunch of talent in juvenile ranks, just because of how bullish he was about Albert Einstein having not even run, that he's something different. I think you have to caveat that sometimes it's a line for the future stud card. So clearly they're very smart. I don't like to get involved with these type of gambles, though, which are just slightly blind, I think. And if you've taken the price about her, great. If you felt she's going to step forward, which of course they could do. But I think going in at this price now, in a festival week where Emma was absolutely got to be trying to find value, I would much rather miss her as a winner than back her at a short price and back a loser that I didn't really find of my own accord. So I'll look elsewhere with her for all that. It's pretty obvious why she's been backed. I like Gold Digger for Richard Spencer, Jamie Spencer in the saddle. She won at Yarmouth over 6 furlongs, was really slowly away, travelled nicely into the race, and then in typical sort of Jamie Spencer ride, cut them down late and finished really fast and really strong. The 3rd, the 4th and the 7th have all won since. And what I was quite taken about was that afterwards, Jamie Spencer, who isn't short on self-confidence, said that it wasn't an accident that she was slow away from the stalls. It was by design. She was a breeze-up horse. He really wanted to teach her because he knew they'd be coming to Royal Ascot. Now, that might be a little bit of poker playing by Spencer, but it does suggest they clearly held her in pretty high regard, and he was pretty confident throughout that race. She'll come home well. The form looks solid, so I do like her, and she's a decent price. Not going to put up as a selection because if you follow me on the juveniles, you've not got a return so far this week. I put up Valentina on the preview pod, and I put her up as an anti-post in Juvenile Watch. Her price has contracted, but just to go over her form, she ran well at the Curragh, behind a horse that I think shaped pretty well in the Coventry, probably could have finished a bit further, closer, Andab, and then she won last time out against the fillies. Looks really leggy, really pacey. Same connection as Porta Fortuna, but her price has collapsed a little bit, so I wouldn't put up as a selection.
Yeah, and a word there for Valentina at 14-1, but Ross's main pick is Gold Digger at 12-1 at the time of recording. I thought the favourite was a little bit too short despite Aidan's form this week, and actually there's a bit of collateral form with this horse. On debut, she finished third. Okay, she probably wasn't ridden to win. It was very much a learning experience. But the horse that finished second there was Green Sense, who also runs in this contest on Friday, the Albany. She's 9-1, Signora's 11-4. That price discrepancy is only due to the connections. And look, if you like that form line, then you can't necessarily just back this favourite. I think the value would lie with Green Sense. I'm going to look elsewhere in this race. I thought Phoenician Sun was actually the most promising horse coming into it, but she's drawn box one, far from ideal given what we've seen to date. So I'm going to go with a horse called Fitzella for Hugo Palmer. The form of her debut is not sparkling. I thought it was actually quite a good race at the time. The military code stunk the place out in the Coventry, finishing 17th. And the horse that finished third in that maiden race, Old as Gold, didn't run particularly well yesterday in the Windsor Castle. So the form isn't great from that first run, but I thought she shaped nicely in second. And then second time up, she went and won a really nice race from the start, from the front. More professional that day. I think she's a miler. She's going to be running over a much shorter distance here, but if she can get a forward position in this contest from a nice high draw, then maybe Fitzella can go close under Oisin Murphy. The Commonwealth Cup is up next. This is the race that SBK is offering that 20% winnings boost on. And it's also a race that has seen some great winners in the past. Caravaggio, Muhara, Advertise, Campanelle, I could keep going. Inner Sharon last year. We get to see the 2,000 guineas third Shadow of Light here, Ross. He's drawn high in 19. He's 2-1 in the market. Do you like him?
At the start of the week, if you'd offered me 2-1 about him for the Commonwealth Cup, I'd have been pretty much chips all in, TC. I think he's comfortably the best of these. But you just have to worry a bit about Charlie Appleby's form at Royal Ascot this week, don't you? Like, he's had a couple of absolute turkeys run for him, which slightly tempers enthusiasm. I'm going to put him up as the selection just because I think he's so good and he'd like the track that this is a pretty decent price about this horse. He won the Middle Park, he won the Dewhurst. They weren't vintage renewals, but I loved how he was able to back up and show some real toughness. And I thought his run in the 2000 guineas was good. He finished third, but I think he probably shaped like the second best horse in the race on that occasion. Showed a really smart turn of foot and probably just got a little bit outstayed on the track. I'm still personally, from my punting sense of view, mulling it over. I'm going to put up a selection. I'll put up Leovani as well at a bigger price. She's got more obvious credentials at the price. She was good winner of the Queen Mary last year. Went on to be third in the Lowther. You can forget the cheaply part. The ground was too soft. And I thought her return in the listed contest when she was fourth was pretty promising. Things didn't just quite happen for her. She ran on strongly. Steps up to 6 furlongs. I think this is going to be a trip now. She's a year older. We know she likes the track. We know connections love to target these races. I thought 33-1 or thereabouts was a pretty decent price.
Yeah, she's a big price, Leovani. She could go close to Wathnan, who have had a fantastic start to Royal Ascot and, as I say, may have done better as well on Thursday. They've got a couple of chances on that card. Shadow of Light, around 7-4, 2-1 at the time of recording. I think SBK have just trimmed in 7-4, actually, as we are filming this. But that price does seem fair. And I'm not going to echo exactly what you said, but my notes are literally almost to the word identical to your analysis of Shadow of Light. The price looks great. The 2,000 guineas run was really promising. He was probably the second best horse in that race behind Field of Gold, despite those two horses both losing. I like the draw. And the only thing that puts me off in here is actually the fact that Charlie Appleby doesn't win races at Royal Ascot at the moment. That is the concern. But if Appleby was firing, even at a normal rate rather than just a red hot, I would think this horse is one of the better bets of the week. But yeah, for that reason, I probably won't play him, just because Appleby can't seem to buy a winner there. I do think there is a chance for some each-way value. Ross has pointed you in the direction of Leovani. I don't know what the value is yet. I'm going to continue to try and work it out after this podcast. So I'm going to sit this race out from a betting and tipping perspective. But it's a cracking heat. And if you do fancy something, make sure you bet with SBK because of that winnings boost. On to the Duke of Edinburgh now, the 340, a 1 mile 4 furlong handicap. 4 winning favourites in the last 10 renewals of this race, Ross. One was a joint favourite, but we'll go with 4. Willie Mullins has never won it, which is, I suppose, a little bit surprising given it's a middle distance race at Royal Ascot. That being said, he has only had 2 runners in it. One of those was Ethical Diamond, who finished 4th in the race last year and is back again to try and repeat or do a lot better than last time around. He is your 7-2 favourite at the time of recording. Al Mosher, again for Wathnan Racing, is your second favourite. He's a bit of an unknown quantity in this race. He's about 7-1. Are you focusing towards the top of the market or looking elsewhere?
I didn't know that 4 from 10 stat, TC, but as you know, I'm not a great one for stats. I like a Mullins horse, but it's not actually the favourite. It's Blue Lemons. The more I looked at this, the more I was quite sweet on him. He was rated 99 when running for Richard Hannon, but only ever ran over a mile. Went to Mullins and went hurdling. I'm quite taken by this idea that, you know, a winter of training in a national hunt yard puts some toughness and some stamina into them. And then I went and watched the Sandown run in April, where he finished second over a mile, finishing really well. Behind Hand of God, was giving him £5, now gets £5, £10 pull at the waist. He's 3 times the price of that horse who reopposes here. He's won over hurdles. His hurdling career wasn't great this winter. He was a bit in and out, but when he won, he looked very good. I suppose you could say, looking at his hurdle form, that the quick ground might be a question, but he's going up significantly in trip here. I always think that sort of helps alleviate that issue. Billy Loughnane on, he's a big price for a Mullins horse in these sort of races, and you know, off a mark of 97, having been 99 for Hannon, it'd be unusual for Willie Mullins not to find some sort of improvement over these trips. We know he stays. I thought he was quite a nice price.
Yeah, 23-1 with SBK. You know, a unique price, but it may contract, it may drift out by the time the race comes around, or by the time you're watching this podcast. I thought there were a couple of interesting horses at bigger prices, the likes of War Rooms for Connections, who did very well in this contest last year by winning it, and Stress Free as well, who won nicely last time and seems to have a lot more in the locker, albeit he's drawn wide and is likely to be right out the back, which is not ideal in this race. That being said, I'm going to be boring here, Ross. I'm going to side with the favourite in Ethical Diamond. We've both gone Willie Mullins, but in a different route. Mine's more unoriginal, I would say, but maybe more likely. We'll see. The market thinks so. This horse finished fourth in the race, as I said, last year, off £2 lower. He hasn't run on the flat since. I think he's been campaigned with an eye to Royal Ascot this year, albeit the jumps was obviously his number one priority during the winter months. He ran well in quite a few good races. The problem with him is he can get keen, and that's exactly what happened 12 months ago. He got keen under Ryan. He was right close to the speed, and he actually finished his race off well, but he just got pounced on late by horses who were more efficiently ridden and who raced more efficiently. If he can settle from a good draw, I think Ethical Diamond will win this race, but we'll see. The early part of the race is interesting, and if you are a trader in running, I think that's the key point for this contest. To me, he's the most talented horse in the race. If he settles, he should get the job done. We move on to the Group 1 Coronation Stakes. Zaragana, a big talking horse over the last month, given what happened in the French 1,000 guineas. She has long been the antipode favourite for this race. Even when She's Perfect was in the field, she subsequently went to the Prix de Diane and disappointed. She's been a little bit cold in the market, Ross. I'm not sold on her. Are you?
No, absolutely not, Cece. I think obviously the market watched the preview pod where we sort of both said that maybe she'd been a bit overhyped, and we'd be interested to see what She's Perfect did in the Prix Diane, and she was disappointing. They said she didn't stay. Well, she wouldn't have won it over a mile to my eye either. I think, you know, she didn't look good enough. So I can oppose Zaragana, and again, one of those ones I'll oppose her, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Quite what with, I wasn't really sure. I mean, I like Falakea. She was really impressive at Newmarket, wasn't she? But I just wonder whether she slightly took the race apart early and they got their fractions wrong, and it slightly just exaggerated how good she looked. It'll be pretty impressive if she can come into this and repeat that sort of performance at this level. So very small stakes. I'll have a little interest on Cecine. 4 lengths behind Lake Victoria in the Irish 2,000 guineas, staying on really well. Steps up in trip. She's by Australia. Lake Victoria is, I think, comfortably the best 3-year-old filly. You can put a line through a Newmarket run. So I think that represents a pretty decent level of form. She's an each way price. I'll have a very small play on her, but it's a race I'll watch and try and take forward with me.
28-1 for Cecine there with for Ross. This was a race I had similar thoughts on again, where I just didn't really like anything in the field. However, there were 2 supplementary entries, Falakea being one, Kontiki being the other, and I think they've changed the dynamic a little bit. Prior to that, it looked like it was just Zaragana's to lose, in my opinion, but she was going to be a very short price. I think she's around even money. Then the supplementaries came in, and now she's drifted out to your current favourite at 9-4, but I still think that's a bit tepid. I wouldn't be surprised to see Falakea actually go off favourite in here. I think she may be favoured with 1 or 2 firms, but with SBK, she's a good price at 3-1. I think she was very impressive last time. Maybe she can control the race, and she could just be the most talented horse in here. I also wouldn't write off Kontiki, who definitely has claims, but Falakea will be my pick in this race. I think she's the most logical winner. And Zaragana, she's got to go do it. I think most people are in that boat right now. Sandringham time next, 5 p.m. 28, 3-year-old, set to go to post. This is not easy. 8-1 the field with William Haggis's Supermodel being your favourite. William Haggis had a good performance on Wednesday with Bullet Point, who ran a nice race to finish second in one of these handicaps. Do you like Supermodel in here? Isn't this just a race where you want to go away from the favourite?
Yeah, I've taken two at prices TC and two at pretty much opposite ends of the weights. The first is Alpharica, who makes a handicap debut. She was a good winner at Doncaster on good to firm ground, and then she matched off at Leicester last time against Pina Sonata. It was actually on tipping duty that time, and Pina Sonata wasn't favourite overnight, and I tipped her up thinking the rain would come and it would suit her and wouldn't suit Alpharica, and that's duly what happened, and Pina Sonata absolutely slammed her. But I don't think Alpharica really enjoyed the sort of slate. It was good to soft, but it looked like it was quite tacky and quite hard work. I don't think that suited her. She's got an opening mark, though, of 84. Pina Sonata is 94. I don't think there's £10 between those two, despite Leicester run. I thought that was a nice opening mark. Okay, she's got to find a bit of improvement, and she's given away experience, isn't she? But she's at the right end of the weights. She'll like this quick ground, I'm certain of that. So I was quite sweet on her. And then Joseph O'Brien's Mojave River did some quite nice late work in a Group 3 over a mile. And that was behind, at the Curragh, it was behind Cecine, who obviously I like, in a far better race. That's got Irish, 1,000 guineas form. Goes into the handicap for a first time, having shown some pretty decent form. And this track, I think, will suit. She doesn't do anything particularly quickly, but she stays very well. She's high enough in the weights, I suspect, but I did like her, and she's a big, big prize.
Yeah, a couple of long shots there from Ross. Mine's not as much of a long shot. I got this horse at 16-1 actually earlier in the week, which maybe a bit of arse timing, but you can make of that what you will. The horse is now currently around 11-1, and that is Dash of Azure. Last year ran second in all three starts, but let me go through the horses who beat her really quickly. Desert Flower beat her, subsequently won the Guineas. She finished second to Hold a Dream, and then she finished second to Bermuda Longtail. Both of those have been second in listed races since. The form is relatively strong, despite the fact that she has 3 2s on her form figures, which is never ideal from a 2-year-old. Then she came out this season, went to Kempton, and she won really decisively. Horses at Kempton that win, going the far side rail and also using that cutaway, you need to mark up their performance. That part of the track is generally deeper. I like using Kempton form when it comes to turf racing as well. So, albeit she's unexposed on turf and hasn't proved her level, I think there's a lot more to come. And that Kempton effort signified to me that she has a lot of upside. I think a mark is fair, and I love her draw. So, I'm quite keen on Dash of Azure, and I think the price is fair despite the fact it's come in 5 or so points. Back into group company now for the King Edward VII. Colts and Geldings in here. Interesting that, I noted Geldings because the favourite Amalok is a Gelding, and he can't compete in any of the best 3-year-old contests going middle distances this year. Some people think he would have gone close in the Derby, Ross. He's 15-8 for this race. He's unbeaten. Will he continue to be unbeaten?
Well, he's a gelding for a reason, isn't he? He's clearly got a bit of a quirk about him. Midway through his win last time, he looked like Native River in a Gold Cup with Dickie Johnson on board, sort of being hard driven to try and latch onto the bridle. And he turns in and grabs on the bridle, and he looks, a little bit like Frankel flying home. So he could do anything. My concern is just how is this temperament going to handle the preliminaries, this better grade of race? He's not going to want to give ground away against some of these. He's very tempting because I think he is quite classy. But I've steered away from him just for those reasons. I've gone with Puppet Master for the Master, Aidan O'Brien. He was fourth in the Ballystacks, which year on year is a really good form line. The horse that finished in front of him hasn't come out and run yet. But that form has been boosted to a degree. But he won a listed contest at Lingfield, staying on just shy of this trip. The runner-up there hasn't come out and given it any boost, but I just liked how he went through that race. I think this track will suit him. He just looks very uncomplicated, sort of horse that Ryan Moore will be able to put where he wants. And if he can get in a position and get Amalok a little bit far back, he certainly won't be stopping. So I thought Puppet Master was quite interesting at a fair price.
Yeah, he's a fair price for leading connections. And Aidan O'Brien did win this race back in 2019 with Japan and 2022 with Changing of the Guard. I'm just actually looking at the Roll of Honour as we're doing this. Japan was a great horse, but you've also got the likes of Pile Driver in there, King of Steel, Calandigan. This race can throw up a really, really good one, and maybe it is Puppet Master, maybe it is Amalok. I'm not completely sold on Amalok at the moment. He does look good, but does he warrant this short price in a race with other horses that have lots of upside? The likes of Zaran, who's going to be my tentative play in here for Johnny Murta. Johnny doesn't bring too many horses over to Ascot, and he doesn't bring horses that don't have a chance. I think Zaran shaped really well last time. There is a case to be made that he should be 3 from 3, and therefore he would be shorter in the market. I'm not super keen on this race by any means because I do respect those at the top, the likes of Puppet Master and Amalok. But I will tentatively play Zaran at the prices, and hopefully he can take that step forward that will put him on the same kind of tier as Calandigan at this stage of his career 12 months ago for same ownership. Finally, we're going to end with the Palace of Holyroodhouse. That is at 6:10. Penultimate race on the penultimate day of Royal Ascot. Hopefully you're in profit by now. I need a good Thursday. Realign is your clear-cut 4-1 market leader for William Haggis. Ross, I thought they might go the Commonwealth Cup with this horse. They've gone to the Palace of Holyroodhouse. I'm going to have to bet him. He's a short price.
Yeah, I can see the appeal, TC. Just in these handicaps this week, I've wanted to try and find one at a bit of a price. I centred around the Queen Mary form last year, actually. A horse that was third called Moorland for Adrian Nichols. And she was really slowly away in the Queen Mary last year. I mean, notably detached early, flew home into third. She never really reproduced that, I didn't think, in a couple of subsequent runs, but she was placed in group and listed contests since. She's now back onto this course and distance, which I like. And her penultimate run at Cork was pretty decent. She again finished a good effect behind Babouche. Now, Babouche is going Commonwealth and is quietly fancied in some areas. And she's crucially been far better from the stalls this year. That's a big thing. I think she's quite talented. She's got Jack Nichols, who I assume is the trainer's son, taking off £7. Didn't know much about him, went back and watched. He looks pretty useful. He's 3 from 23 in the last 14 days. And it does look like he's been given plenty of rides to try and get a bit of experience into him for this. So I do like Moorlam. But quite interestingly, I got it down to a short list of 2 using the Queen Mary form. Struggled to separate them. And Bob's your uncle. I think you found the other one.
You love a Bob's your uncle this week. Yeah, I have. Look, Realign is going to be my number one pick. As I say, I thought they were going Commonwealth Cup. I actually tipped this horse in another preview show, sponsored by SBK, so I can say the At the Races preview show, and that was for the Commonwealth Cup at 25-1. If I thought he had a chance in that race, then I have to tip him in this because his handicap mark is pretty lenient. I think he's chucked in. I think he's a group horse, and therefore I can't look elsewhere in terms of a win perspective. He's a short price. It's not what I like doing in these contests, but hopefully Realign can run well. The other horse I do like in here is the other horse that Ross has insinuated there, owned by Chris Hurst, Miss Lamai, who is a shorter price than Moorlam. Ross's pick is 40-1. Mine is 20 in Miss Lamai. She'll be running on late. And in races like this, I feel like you can bet horses that pick up the pieces and gain good place money at big prices. She's drawn well, and very much the same case as what Ross has made. These horses should be flying late when others are maybe tiring. Hopefully Realigns in the distance, but the others might be falling out the back of the TV, and these two can pick up place money. Multiples time then, Ross. 2 selections from you, 2 from me. You go first.
Let's go with Puppet Master and Blue Lemon. So I am quite sweet, and I have to say.
Yeah, I'll add Falakea and Realign to the multiple. That's a 2,500-1 ACCA if you want to take advantage of SBK's 20% horse racing multiples boost every day this week. You can play it each way. I would say that makes a lot more sense. But if you wanted to play a small win selection on this multiple, all we need is one of these multiples to come in this week, and hopefully we can make big profit. Perfect then. That's a quick run through of all the action on Friday. Quick reminder of the offers. There is a 20% Racings multiple boost that I've just mentioned there. T's and C's do apply, so make sure you go and read those just to make sure you know what you're signing up for with that offer. There is a 20% winnings boost on Friday on the Commonwealth Cup. That's at 3:05. If you like Shadow of Light in that race, or any other horse for that matter, go and bet with SBK. You get a bigger return for the same stake that you would with any other firm. And also go and take a look at SBK's app. Because you can listen to our horse racing podcast on the horse racing page. You can also see the other promotions that maybe we haven't talked about in any of these podcasts this week. Also, a new customer offer. If you're not signed up to SBK and you do want to have an account with them, sign up, bet your first £10 and you'll get £40 in free bets. T's and C's apply to that too. Thank you very much for watching. Best of luck with all of your bets on Friday. I hope you've had a good week so far. Make sure you tune in for our final daily preview podcast. That'll be tomorrow, looking at Saturday's action. We'll see you then.